Welcome to the series of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya showed once how he is super soul in everyone's heart, and he performed a very amazing pastime called Mahaprakash Lila. So one day Lord Chaitanya said to all his devotees that we are performing Nam Sankirtan every day. Why waste time during nights? We shall perform Nam Sankirtan at nights also. So the devotees were very happy, yes. And then everyone started performing beautiful chanting of the holy names in the house of Shrivasa Thakur. And there were many devotees like Nityanand Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, then Gangadas Pandit, and then Haridas Thakur, and then Vidyanidhi, Vanmali, and Hiranya, Vijay, and Jagadananda, and so many of them. And Lord Chaitanya would call them sometimes by their previous names, who they were in their past lives. Like sometimes he used to address them as Haladhar, Narada, Shuka, Shiva, Brahma, Lakshmi, all these Prahlad, all these names he used to call out, because all these personalities had appeared in the Leela of Lord Chaitanya. So many people wanted to witness this beautiful Nam Sankirtan performed by the devotees in the association of Lord Chaitanya, but they were not allowed. So, and these devotees, they performed kirtan constantly, and in this way millenniums passed by. But according to human calculation, it was just few hours. So one day, Lord Chaitanya went and sat on the throne of Lord Vishnu in Shrivasa's house, and he was in the mood of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he was in ecstatic love for 21 hours. And this Leela is called Mahaprakash Lila or Mahabhav Prakash Lila. And devotees were all with folded hands. We can see here. Everyone is there. And they were all with folded hands worshipping the Supreme Lord. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, sing the bathing song. That means perform my Abhishek. And they all went to get the Ganges water, and then they bathed him with that water. Shrivas, and they added musk and sandalwood paste and tulsi and so many things, camphor, and then they bathed him. And Nityanand Prabhu was the first to bathe Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaita Acharya offered prayers which are named as Purusha Sukta prayers. And then demigods also came in disguise to witness this Leela. And Shrivasa's servants, they were very busy in helping the Lord, in serving him, helping Shrivasa in performing this wonderful Leela. And they brought Ganges water and so many pots and pots of Ganges water. One of them was as a maid servant. Her name was Dukhi. When Lord Chaitanya saw her, that she was enthusiastically serving him, he was so pleased with her that he said, today onwards, your name will not be Dukhi, but your name will be Sukhi. Sukhi means the most happy. That means one who has taken, the Lord has taken all her miseries away. Now she has become Sukhi. So, and then everyone served him. Then they, after Abhishek, after bathing, they served the Lord in beautiful clothing, and then worshipped him according to their own heart's inclination. Someone with tulsi, someone with flowers, someone with sandalwood paste, and they offered everything to the Lord's lotus feet. And then Lord Chaitanya was in the mood of the Supreme Lord. He wanted to display this mood and show everyone that he is the super soul, he is the supreme personality of Godhead, and all the incarnations also come from him, and all the demigods are his part and parcels, and all the living entities are his part and parcels, and he is the supreme Lord, and because he is the supreme Lord, everyone has to, if they have to be happy, then if they worship him, then they will be happy. In this kind of mood he came. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. He said, he says in Bhagavad Gita that I am the source of all the spiritual and material world. Everything comes from me. And one who knows this perfectly worships me with all their heart. So all the devotees along with him, they served the Lord in this mood, understanding that who is Lord Chaitanya, and he wanted to show the whole world that come to me, you will be happy. So then he said, now get me something to eat. I want to eat something. And when the Lord eats, he can eat in tons and tons, unlimitedly he can eat. As we have seen in Govardhan pastime, how he ate so many buckets and so many trucks of dal and rice and puris and sabji, so many. So the Lord can eat in any amount. So in this way, the devotees started bringing so many different items, bananas, milk and curds and butter and fruits and sandesh and so many moong dal and rice and so many things they brought for him, and he ate them all. And then the Lord started describing about their past, how they have performed their devotion to him even in their past life. So he said, he first addressed to Shrivas. Shrivas, do you remember you used to hear Shrimad Bhagvatam at Devanand Pandit's house? And he explained everything what used to happen at that place. He said, the Lord said, every line of Shrimad Bhagvatam is filled with nectar of love of God. And because of that, your heart used to get filled up with love for the Lord. And tears used to flow profusely from your eyes. And then you used to make some sounds because of some ecstasy and fall unconscious on the ground and roll and all that. And the students sitting there, they were thinking that this person is a disturbance and we should throw him out of the class and just throw him on the street. So they picked him up and just put him on the street. And Devanand Pandit saw everything, but he did not stop them from doing that. Because the Lord said Devanand Pandit was not teaching pure devotional service, and that is why he was not understanding that every line of Shrimad Bhagavatam is filled with message of pure devotional service and love for the Lord. So when you saw yourself fallen on the street, you were astonished and you came to know about what had happened, and you felt so much sorrow in your heart. You wanted to go back and hear Shrimad Bhagavatam. You had so much love for Shrimad Bhagavatam, but you just couldn't go. And then you went home and started reading Shrimad Bhagavatam all alone. And seeing your sorrowful condition, I descended from Vaikuntha and I made you weep tears of ecstatic love, so much that where you were sitting, the whole place became wet with your tears of love. You were drenched with the tears of love for the Lord. And Shrivas Pandit was astonished. Shrivas Thakur was astonished. He folded his hands, understanding who the Supreme Lord, who Lord Chaitanya is. And his heart melted for love for the Lord. All the devotees started cheering up, Jai Sachinandana, Jai Sachinandana. In this way, he showed how he reciprocated with Shrivas Thakur. Then he pointed to a devotee and he said, do you remember that once you had fever and I came as a doctor and I sat beside your bed and I cured you of your fever. Like this, he was reciprocating with each and every devotee. Then he called about Gangadas Pandit. Gangadas Pandit was a teacher of Lord Chaitanya, as we discussed in our previous episodes. So he said to Gangadas Pandit, "Do you remember the night when you and your family members were trying to escape from Mohammedan king and his servants and his men who wanted to capture you?" And Gangadas Pandit was like, that night was horrible night for him, because these people were after him, trying to capture him. And they were near the river, Ganges river, and he wanted to somehow cross the river, and there was no ferry, there was no boat available there. And he was weeping in heart, thinking that now my life will be spoiled, because now these people will come and molest my wife and my children in my presence, and I will not be able to do anything. And in thinking like this, he was thinking, I will drown myself in Ganga. And then at that time, he saw a boatman coming, and he asked him to please help him, and this boatman had helped him. So Lord Chaitanya was telling him, at that time I appeared as a boatman, rowing my boat toward you. Gangadas Pandit said, "Please, O boatman, please take me across this river, and sir, I will surrender my life, my wealth, my body, my everything else for you, because I am solely dependent on you." And in this way, Lord said, I took you across the river and then returned back to Vaikuntha. Do you remember this incident? He asked Gangadas Pandit. Gangadas Pandit fell to the ground, began rolling in ecstasy. Then he said, "Now go and bring Sridhar at once." So devotees were thinking, Sridhar? They were not knowing about Sridhar. So he said, "You will just see him on the outskirts of the town. You will see someone constantly chanting the holy names. And he's a very poor person. He is my devotee, and you will easily find him. And he's thinking of me in separation constantly. So bring him. I want to show my opulence to him." So Sridhar was a banana seller. Then he said to the devotees, "Go and bring Sridhar at once. Sridhar is constantly thinking about me in separation. I want him to witness my opulence." And the devotees were not knowing who is this Sridhar and where is he staying. He said, "You will find him on the outskirts of the town." And we can see here, this is a place where Sridhar used to stay in his hut about 500 years back. And he was a very honest and truthful person, a very sincere devotee, and he had no aspiration other than chanting the lords of the holy names and serving the Lord with love. Day and night he used to chant, and even at night he used to chant, and the neighbors would be so angry with him, saying they used to shout at him, saying that this person is not even allowing us to sleep at night. He's constantly chanting the holy names, maybe because he's so hungry that he's not getting sleep at night. In this way, they were all criticizing Sridhar. So Sridhar was so honest. Out of his income by selling bananas and banana tree cups, and he used to make those banana cups by using banana bark, and all these things he used to sell, and whatever income he used to get, he used to spend half of it in worship of Ganga, and half of it he used to somehow maintain him. And Lord Chaitanya would love him. No one knew Sridhar, but Lord knows everyone who worships him and loves him. So he used to come, and 2 hours every day he used to speak to him, argue with him about the price of the bananas. And Sridhar would say, "No, this is the price, is a meager price I am offering." Lord Chaitanya would argue, "No, you are charging very much for this banana. You have to give me for this much price." In this way they were uh, they were arguing, and sometimes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be so restless is to just snatch bananas from his hands, and then he would jump, Sridhar would jump and again snatch the bananas back, and in this way they were constantly arguing, and they used to spend time every day. And so the devotees went there, and they told Sridhar that the Supreme Lord, he wants to see you. Supreme Lord Chaitanya wants to see you. When Sridhar heard about him, he said, the Lord wants to see me? He just felt that he is not qualified. And then he felt unconscious. He just fell to the ground. The devotees picked him up and took him to Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya was very happy to see him. And he said to Sridhar, Sridhar, you have served me many, many lifetimes. And in this lifetime, you have served me abundantly by giving me pleasure. You are very rich actually, but you used to snatch bananas, my bananas. In this way, he joked with him. And then he said, but after all these things, you have not recognized me. Sridhar, now behold my supreme opulence. And then Sridhar lifted his head and saw. He saw that Lord Chaitanya, who is in the golden color, had turned into dark complexion of Krishna, and he was playing flute, and beside him was Balaram. We can see in this picture, this is the darshan which Lord Chaitanya gave to Sridhar Kolovicha, who is paying obeisances here at the lotus feet. And all the demigods came to witness this opulent darshan of the Lord. And Narada, Shiva, Brahma, Shukdev Goswami, four Kumaras, everyone came and offered prayers. Anantashesh also was there, holding himself like umbrella and giving shade to the Lord. In this way, the demigods sang his glories with folded hands. Then he said, Sridhar, please offer me prayers. Sridhar said, I am illiterate. How can I offer you prayers? I really do not know anything. Lord Chaitanya said, Sridhar, whatever you speak is glorification of me. So, and then he called upon Goddess Saraswati, and Goddess Saraswati empowered Sridhar, and then Sridhar offered many beautiful prayers to Lord Chaitanya. But so many benedictions were offered to Sridhar by Lord Chaitanya, but Sridhar did not accept anything. He said, I just do not want all these things like 8 mystic powers and the riches of this world, and then liberation, residence in Vaikuntha. Nothing he accepted. He said, I just want you to be with me and argue with me about the price of bananas. That is my satisfaction. That is, if you want to give me something, please give me that much. So in this way, a devotee is self-satisfied. He doesn't hanker for wealth and name and fame and opposite sex and power and so many things. He is just self-satisfied and peaceful. He's never disturbed by happiness and distress of this world. So Sridhar is such a wonderful example of a perfect devotee, and Lord Chaitanya would love him because of this quality. And so we can see the purpose of Lord Chaitanya's activities is, through his activities, he taught the conditioned souls how to serve Krishna and Radharani. And his leelas are understood by any conditioned soul. Any conditioned soul cannot apply his so-called material logic for this leela and say, how can this happen? His leelas are so simple and easily understood by the common people. He also showed by his example and the example of his devotees how constant chanting of the names with faith is so important. And he showed how the chanting of the holy names is identical with the activities of gopis in Braj. That is the sum and substance of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So we can also offenselessly chant the holy names under the guidance of self-realized soul. And because if we do so, then we will be freed from all the sinful reactions of our past. This is the age of Lord Chaitanya. We have just passed about 500 years when Lord Chaitanya had appeared. This era will continue for 10,000 years. It is called Golden Era. And Lord Chaitanya is requesting everyone, please chant the holy names, please serve Krishna. And Krishna and his devotees in a humble mood of servant of the servant of the servant of his devotees. And in this way, we don't have to take births in this life, in this material world again and again. And in this very lifetime, we can finish our business here and go back to Godhead. And in the Lord Chaitanya also insisted that do not strive for empirical knowledge, or do not perform such activities which will have reactions, and do not even aspire for liberation, but just serve the Lord with love and faith. Because that alone can satisfy the spirit soul. So if we want to be happy, there is only one way out, which is shown by Lord Chaitanya, a loving service, loving devotional service to the Lord's lotus feet. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. We shall continue with other devotees, how we reciprocated in our next episodes. Hare Krishna.